Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuhu. My name is Shahud Arkanay, and my task for today is to tackle about the principle of coercion. Principle of coercion, active and passive principle of violence. It is closely connected with the moral principle of the twofold effect is the moral principle involving coercion, which may be stated briefly in this form. Under certain conditions, it is normally right to use force or employ violence in defense of certain basic rights, even if by the employment uh, of such force or violence certain evil effect or effects may follow, such as the death of aggressor. And this moral principle is justified on the following ground. So, itatagalog ko na lang. Sa number 1, tinutukoy sa number 1, sabid sa number 1, man as a person possesses certain fundamental rights, chapter 9. So, ibig sabihin sa number 1, lahat ng tao ay may karapatang pantao. Yan ang tinutukoy dyan. So, sa number 2, the existence of the right of the entails corresponding duty on other respect. This right, chapter 9. So, sinasabi sa number 2 is, lahat daw ng batas na nakasaad kapag sasaad ng karapatang pantao ay dapat itong irespeto. So, sa number 3, that if this right are violated or denied, the possessor therefore has the right to defend and use the means necessary to defend his right, chapter 9, 10, 12, and 13. So, sa number 3, tinutukoy dyan is, kung ang karapatan mo bilang tao ay nalabag or nilabag ng kahit sino man, ay may karapatan ka na ipaglaban ito as a human being. So, sa number 4, sometimes the employment of force or violence resulting in the bloodshed or death of the aggressor is the only possible way to defend said rights. So, ibig sabihin sa number 4, na kapag daw humantong ang physical violence or harassment or threatening sa kadalasan na nangyayari na ito ay kadalasan nangyayari sa trabaho mo at humantong ito sa pagpatay sa buhay ng tao. And it is a possible way na ipaglaban mo ang karapatan mo bilang tao. Like for example, self-defense. Napatay mo yung aggressor, yung taong nag-initiate or balak na patayin ka or atakihin ka. Then, sa number 5, the evil effects that often follow or accompany the use of force are merely concomitant, the resultant factor, if not directly intended. So, sa number 5 is parang magkapareho ito siya sa number 6. So, i-explain ko na lang itong number 6 kasi may pagkatugma yung number 5 pati number 6. So, sa number 6, sinasabi dito sa number 6, there are two effects involved here, one good and one bad. Depends of the right of the possessor, which is good, and harm on the aggressor, which is bad. So, sa number 6, may dalawang epekto daw ito. Ang ipaglalaban ang karapatan ng naapi, which is mabuti, at ididiin ang mga nagkasala na maaaring ikapahamak nito, which is masama. Like, for example nito is ang doctrine of double effect. Ang doctrine ay nagsasaad na kapag gumagawa ka ng moral na gawain, meron itong katumbas na bad side effects. Pero based on ethics, okay lang naman na may bad side effect ka na magawa Ang importante nito ay hindi mo intention. Ang example nito ay euthanasia. Ang euthanasia ay nangyayari sa patient na hirap na siya dahil sa kumbaga malapit na yung buhay niya or malapit na siyang mamatay or may mga sign na. Then ang ginagawa ng doktor hinihila uh, pinapadali nito ang kanyang buhay para ito'y kumbaga parang papatayin niya lang sadya para ang main purpose ng doctor dito is para hindi na mahirapan yung pasyente sa karamdaman niya. Kaya ito yung way niya papatayin niya yung pasyente. So sa number 7, this is likewise in a consonance with the morally sound principle that if one had to choose between two evils and should choose the lesser. So, ibig sabihin ng number 7 is the concept of choosing the lesser evil. So, ikaw na tao kapag papipiliin ka sa dalawa, which is ang unfortunate or disappointing, alin ang mas less evil sa dalawa na pagpipilian? So may like for example, may dalawang tao which is mamamatay tao yung isa, yung isa naman ay magnanakaw. So, kailangan mong piliin yung mas lesser evil, which is, but we can't deny the fact that they are both still evil. So, masama naman lahat ng gawain na yun, but ang pinag-uusapan dito is yung lesser evil. Kung mas light yung kasalanan doon. Yun yung pino-point out doon. So in short, the justification of the use of violence spring from the principle that the possession of the right naturally includes the right to defend such rights. Without power to defend itself is dead. However, because of the great evil consequences following the use of violence, evil consequences which usually far outweigh or offset whatever good effects that may be derived from the employment thereof. It is often very hard, if not impossible, to justify resort to violence. Thus, the supreme representative of the supreme law, giver and peacemaker, said in one of these addresses. So, violence can never be a mean for solving social conflict and class struggle, which opposes one group to another cannot create justice, since it is premise is destruction and contempt for man. To construct a truly human society in the Philippines, every man and woman must take a choice for justice and love, for solidarity and brotherhood, against selfishness and hatred. Pope John Paul, addressing the worker and proprietors in Bacolod City, Philippines during the papal visit. So let's proceed to the violence and habit. The principle of passive violence can be stated briefly and is self-explanatory. Acts than owing to violence. Act one does because one is forced against his will to do, uh, are not voluntary, provided that the true resistance is made. Consequently, the doer is not morally responsible for doing such acts. The moral principle governing acts done by the force of habit reads, as acts done by the force of habit are still voluntary, at least in cause as long as the habit is allowed to stay. Okay. And these are the explanation of the two principles. Number one, there are only two, but this is the number one. When we are forced to do things or acts entirely against our will, then obviously our acts are not voluntary and hence we are not responsible. Therefore, provide due resistance is made. So, sinasabi dito sa number one, kapag daw napipilitan tayong gumawa ng mga bagay o kilos na ganap na labag sa ating kalooban, maliwanag na ang ating kilos ay hindi kusang loob. Kumbaga parang napipilitan lang tayo sa gawaing iyon dahil sa may mga bagay na kumbaga parang kailangan nating i-save yung mga bagay-bagay, especially yung sarili sa pangyayaring ito. Or sa makatuwid, ay hindi tayo mananagot kung ang nararapat na pagtutol ay ginawa. Kumbaga kung pagtutol ng kasong iyon is kumbaga naisagawa ng maayos, ang taong iyon ay hindi mananagot sa batas. So sa number 2, sinasabi dito, acts done by force or habit are still voluntary on the part of the doers, and he is responsible for the same if he willfully develop the habit and makes no effort to overcome the same. So sinasabi dito sa number 2 na ang mga kilos na ginawa sa pamamagitan ng pwersahan na ugali ay meron pa ring kusang loob na bahagi na gumagawa at siya ay may pananagutan para sa kapantayan or para hindi unfair sa makatuwid.